Hey guys, my name's Jared. Ever since I was a kid, I've dreamt of building a car of my own. And this beat up RSX, it's about to become a 500 to 600 wheel horsepower beast. I am no pro by any means, but after hours of researching and scrolling through forums and engaging with the Honda community, I'm ready to tackle this K24 swap and turbo build. Let's dive in, and thanks for joining the ride. First off, huge thanks to the 200 of you guys rocking with me. I initially started this channel as a way to creatively vent and share my passion with you guys, but I can't help but thank you for watching and supporting the content that I make. I know that 200 subscribers definitely does not seem like a lot to most of you guys, but to me, it helps give me the motivation to keep on creating and making these videos, so thank you guys. Last time that we talked about the fueling upgrades, cooling, and battery relocation kit. Well, today I got some new parts, I have a hidden mod, and a big decision for you guys to make, so make sure you stick around, and that'll be later in the video. But for now, let's start with the heart of our fuel system. This here is our fuel pump assembly, and in here I was able to fit a 525 Marlboro Hellcat pump. It definitely was not easy, so I went ahead and recorded a little bit more details as to how this fuel pump works, and I have the assembly later on in the video, but this is going to be more than enough to support our horsepower goals for not only pump fuel but E85 as well. So let's hop into it. Man, oh man, am I disappointed in myself. Yeah, so I went to record the entire assembly of this and my data got corrupted. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into this. I wish I would have had the assembly. I might be able to recover some of it, so we'll see that in a second. But essentially, this is the whole assembly here. Basically, what I had to do is there is like a little casket that sits inside of here. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. There's like a little plastic casket that sits inside of there. I cut it up. The Marlboro is quite a bit larger than like your OEM style fuel pump. So you kind of have to modify everything around the 525. So you can see here that the sock is all cut up. That casket is all cut up, and I started reassembling it. When I went to reassemble it, I kind of nicked up these wires, so I spent some time actually like repairing these wires and putting in basically like crimp connectors and getting this connector all fixed up, which I might be able to recover some of that. So, but moving on, this is the top hat here. These two fittings, this is an 8 AN feed, 6 AN return. I basically had to drill in 2 holes here. This one is pretty tight, and there's a nut on the bottom side. Let's see if I can actually get you to see that bottom nut. You can kind of see it there. But basically, I had to sand down like 2 different sides of it to get it to fit in here. And then when you drill these holes, you want to be extremely careful, because if you oversize these holes, this is immediately gonna leak, and you'll be out $85 to $90 on a assembly, which you don't want that to happen. So be very careful, take it slow. And then, yeah, you can see the wires here. This is for the relay kit that is just over there as well. And basically I had to de-pin this end, feed the wires through, and then this kind of has the same thing where it has a nut on the other side and basically sandwiches 2 washers really tight for a nice good seal. Same thing, you want to make sure you're really careful drilling that out. But yeah, and then for the top of the assembly, you can see here that I did cut out this entire portion. There was a valve, or sorry, not a valve here, but there is a fuel pressure regulator that is kind of in the assembly right here. You just want to delete that. We don't need it. We're going to be running a fuel pressure regulator in line, in the return line, so it's not needed here. You can go ahead and delete it. And then I went ahead and kind of cut out, as you can see, like right here, to be able to fit that fuel pump. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna jump to any assembly video that I do have. Again, I'm sorry, the video ended up corrupting, so we'll see what I got. All right, and that's gonna be it for the fuel pump assembly. This is actually not too bad of a process. I would definitely recommend you guys try this out if you plan on making this kind of power. As you can see here, I was able to kind of keep everything nice, neat, organized. Really happy with the way that this came out. And yeah, this is gonna support all of the horsepower fueling requirements we need, and this will pair up really nicely to the 1500cc injectors we got. As for the cost, again, I kind of detailed this, but the fuel pump assembly actually costed me around $85 to $90. That's pretty good considering that nowadays most of these guys end up cracked. I mean, this is a 20-year-old platform, so these guys will kind of degrade over time and end up cracked. So you may as well replace it anyways, and for 85 to 90 bucks, this is a great alternative, especially if you do plan on replacing the fuel pump with an authentic Walbro one. As for the Walbro 525 itself, found a pretty good deal online. This one was an open box, so it didn't have an actual box, but they had the pump itself, and I got that for about $55. And then the relay kit actually came with the fuel setup that I bought from DC5 Creations, and that ran me about $450. So keep that in mind. You know, like I said, the relay kit is from him and was included in the kit, but all in all, not too badly priced. And like I said, this is going to support all of the horsepower needs that we need. And yeah, I'm really excited to just drop this guy in. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the fuel pump assembly. I'm glad that I actually revisited this in better detail for you guys to see. I feel like that there was a lot missed, so this is a lot more in-depth. You guys got to see me actually put it back together and see how the Walbro fit and everything like that. But yeah, alrighty. And like Christmas morning day, we got ourselves a bunch of goodies here. We got ourselves a lightweight flywheel. We got some race bushings. A new TSX alternator. We have a power steering tuck kit, as well as a rear main seal, and some 10AN line to run the heater core lines, which I have already taken some pre-measurements, and we're gonna go ahead and make the lines for the heater core as well. All right, so you guys might be asking why a TSX alternator and an RSX? Well, you get an extra 10 amps for any needs. So the OEM RSX one usually comes 95 amps. This one is gonna be 105 amps. I am thinking I will be using the extra headroom for you know, a good sound system. There are minor differences between the OEM RSX one and this one. Mainly is just that plug location, as you can see here. The TSX has it on the front, whereas the RSX actually has it on the side, but it is bolt up. There is a catch though, and I will show this in a second. I picked up some spacers. As you can see here, there is a little bit of room, and you can kind of see it on this side where I have this spacer and this longer bolt. You're gonna need to pick up some additional hardware to make this alternator work. It's not exactly bolt up. The reason being is I ended up going with a JDM K24A, and when you go with a JDM K24A instead of a USDM, you can't use any of the accessories. So unfortunately, I have a K20A3 water housing up front here, and that just kind of throws off this alternator a little bit. I'll go ahead and link at the bottom of the video the stuff for the hardware, and I actually have it in a bag, so we'll go inside and we'll take a look at that here in a second. So here's the hardware that I picked up. As you guys can see, this one is a aluminum spacer bushing. It's 5/8 inch outer diameter with 5/16 inner diameter. It's M8, so the bolt will slip right through. And then the actual thread pitch for that alternator is going to be M8-125, and the length that I chose was 60 millimeters, and that's long enough to thread all the way in there nice and secure and keep that alternator nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bolted up and get it tightened down. So I went ahead, I got the hardware installed, as you can see here. It's nice and snug, and then the spacers are doing their job right there as well. You can see that it is quite tight in through here. I would not have these kind of fitment issues if I decided to go with the OEM RSX one most likely, or if I chose a different water housing in the front. This one is actually for a K24, so sometimes you run into issues with stuff like this where you're gonna have to mix and match and get creative, but yeah, this should work. All right, say goodbye to the messy power steering line. This right here is a tuck kit that I picked up off of eBay. It was around $70, so not too bad. I think it was like $75 and some change. Definitely well worth it. It's gonna get this line up out of the way and out of the way of the turbo manifold as well. I am gonna be throwing heat shielding on this anyways, just to protect it, because a bursted power steering line is definitely not good. You don't want that stuff all over your engine bay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy replaced. I'm not gonna do it in this video, but I will at some point. I'm thinking when I go and actually do the swap, I'll go ahead and get this line installed, because I'm gonna have to pull off the power steering anyways. It doesn't really make sense for me to put the line on to have to take it back off when I pull the K20 out. So I'm gonna leave that for now, but yeah, that's the details of this power steering line. Yeah, remember when I talked about my cooling setup for the turbo? Yeah, I had made a video and I ended up not finishing it because I was just not happy with the way that the video was actually turning out. I actually made the AN lines, and it was actually not hard, but I really struggled. It's not hard to actually make the lines yourself, but the kit that I chose ended up making it way more difficult than I anticipated, because the fittings were actually barbed, and it was not allowing the line to actually seat down all the way onto the fitting. So I was getting pretty frustrated trying to put those lines together. Here's a segment of that. And you kind of use a twisting motion, and you should be able to get the line on fairly easily. Might be a little bit difficult at first, but it should kind of almost thread on after that. And let's see here. Why is this not wanting to? But yeah, anyways, I ended up getting them installed. So now I'm gonna skip and talk about the actual setup and what exactly I did. All right, so I got the other heat shrink side on. So I actually had to take the fittings off. So I'd recommend actually just putting the heat shrink on before actually putting these fittings on. So then that way you could just slip them on and off. My mistake. Now I know to do that a little bit differently. All heat shrunk to the fittings. And then this way too, when you're working with the fittings, sometimes you gotta hold them real tight to get them to fit together properly. So this is nice because you can end up marring these fittings and messing up these fittings real bad. Well, I don't plan on modifying these sides of the fittings. If anything, you know, if I need to take the fittings off, I still have access to these. And then I still have not thrown on the other side for this guy, but this guy will go on just here. But yeah, I'll be able to fit these on, and these aren't gonna be messed with at all, but it just kind of gets rid of the marring and makes it look real nice and finished as well. So you get a little bit better of a finish, and then this guy will be ready to go on just right here. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna throw on this other side here. fully and seat this guy all the way down so I know that it fits, and I'll catch up with you guys in a second. All right, so now I can go ahead and get this guy fitted up. I have this guy, and you can see that it still swivels even with the heat shrink, so that's really nice. This guy will go on this side of the turbo. Let's see if I can get this seated nicely. Oh yeah, perfect. Seated very nicely that way, and then this kind of wrap up and attach into the turbo. On the right side. Something to note too, these guys, this side is actually going to be my drain. Now it's not really ideal to have the drain spot be kind of a U shape, but once I get this fully filled and bled properly, this line should be filled with coolant and shouldn't need, it shouldn't be a problem. So I'll leave it at that. And there's plenty. So I wanted to talk about a specific component, especially for these K-Series. It's really common on rear-wheel drive swapped vehicles, or sorry, not rear-wheel drive swapped, but swapped vehicles with the K-Series that are a rear-wheel drive application that are also turboed. You'll see there is this fitting that is back here, and this is from Track Tough. And he offers a 6AN, 8AN, and 10AN line option. Well, a 6AN fitting will just fit right onto the back of this, and this is a good feed for your turbo. So this is what I'm going to be tapping into and utilizing. I've already put this fitting in here, so I just need to mock everything up and get this line ran, but this is a really great option if you're wanting to run water cooling on your turbo. I got this other line completed. As you can see, I also have some insulated heat shielding here, and this will keep the line from melting up against the header. But I wanted to show you the quality. You know, when you take your time and you put the heat shrink on, it doesn't matter if you mar these fittings because it just ends up getting covered up, and looks really good. And then, like I said, I'm using the heat shielding to protect it from the header. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this line tossed on here, and I'll show you what everything looks like after. Now, if you guys have stayed long enough, you guys probably caught this, but you know what this is. This is a Brembo big brake kit for the RSX. This is actually made by DC5 Creations. I won this in a raffle, so thanks Davey, I definitely appreciate these. I plan on painting these, so this is just a preview for the next episode of the RSX build, but I have big things coming for these. I am going to paint these guys, and then I have a new set of wheels and tires, so those will be coming. Those won't be here for a while, so I plan to hopefully kind of do this all at once, but I may get these Brembos on before I actually throw on the new set of wheels and tires. But so what's next for the RSX? Okay, so I want to give you guys 3 different options for the next video. Option number 1, we go ahead and we throw a clutch and flywheel on this K24. Now to do that, I'm gonna have to get this off the engine stand somehow, so I'll have to figure that out, but that could be the next video. Option number 2, I am still waiting on a Type S oil pump. I want to get the 4-piston one, but I can go ahead and get the 4-piston oil pump, and then I can redo all of the timing. I can throw on the VTC gear as well as the baffled oil pan. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. That sounds like a good fun project and a good video, so kind of lean in towards that one, but obviously I'll leave it for you guys to pick. And then third option is getting the Brembos painted, as well as installed on the RSX. All that I need to order is just the paint and the front calipers and brakes, and I have everything else. I do have rear brakes for this as well, but yeah, so those are gonna be the 3 options. Option number 1, flywheel clutch. 2, Type S oil pump, VTC gear, baffled oil pan, or we get the Brembos installed. So I want you guys to comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see, and whatever is the most commented, that's what I'm going to go ahead and pick for the next video. So let me know, guys. So why bother to go through all the hassle? For one, turbo longevity. The turbos really rely on oil for lubrication and cooling, but alone the oil can struggle to dissipate the extreme heat from a boosted application. This causes the oil to degrade faster than usual, and water cooling allows for thermal siphoning as well. So when you shut your engine off, your oil will stop flowing, but coolant will not. It'll just keep going through the turbo. So it'll help with cooling when you shut the engine off, and just helps with cooling in general. So that's why I chose to do water cooling. It's not something that you have to do. It's not mandatory, but for $120 worth of lines and fittings and heat shielding, I figured it's not that big of an expense, and it's something that I value more, so I went ahead and got those installed. So, all right, and these are the tools that I actually used to make the lines. I went ahead and just picked this up off of Amazon, and this basically, I just used it to cut nice and cleanly. I have seen people use a cutting wheel to actually cut the lines. I am not a big fan of that because you just end up getting rubber kind of in the lines and you end up having to clean them off. This, you get a nice clean precise cut, much easier to work with. And then I have an aluminum wrench here. This is so I don't actually scuff up the fittings when I'm putting them together. And this guy here is a thread gauge tool. Now this is probably the singular best investment I have made on a tool since actually working on this K24. Like I said, it's a K24A, so a lot of the accessories just don't match. And with that, I kind of have to figure out thread pitches as well as size needed. And with this, I was actually able to figure out what bolts I actually needed for the alternator. So you can see here, one side is threaded on the end and is a male, and then the other side is female. And that's how I'm able to tell what parts I actually need for the K24. So if you guys don't have one of these, I highly recommend grabbing one of these. It makes at least my life a lot easier when trying to figure out what bolts, what fittings need to go where, what size they need to be. Yeah, 10 out of 10, highly recommend this. Alrighty, as for the surprise modification, you guys probably can't see it too well, but there are two grommets that you can see right here. I actually cut in and deleted my cruise control module. As you can see, it's down here on the floor. And I was able to fit my tucked catch can from DC5 Creations. So basically these two lines that run off the front here will connect in through those grommets into that catch can. But yeah, all of the hardware, the grommets, everything was provided in the kit. So thank you, DC5 Creations. This is an awesome kit. Really easy. I just used a step bit, drilled in, basically painted the exposed bare metal and called it a day. And I ended up actually installing it, but I have the ends taped. So then that way, when I go to actually install the K24, you know, there's nothing going on down there. It's not getting dirty or anything like that. But yeah, that is the hidden modification. I know that you guys probably can't see it. I didn't feel like taking off the wiper cowl, so I apologize, but on. And you guys are gonna have to take my word for it. But yep, that's gonna be it. All right, so I'm gonna jump into the flywheel now. Compared to stock, this flywheel shaves off about 5 pounds, which is a pretty big difference compared to stock. A lighter flywheel will correlate to faster revs, improved throttle responsiveness, as well as reduction in parasitic drivetrain loss. However, with a lightweight flywheel, what you will experience is more vibrations in the cabin and in the engine overall, and that's just due to the decrease in mass. I do have a solution to this coming in another video, so I will wait to install this guy once I actually have a clutch to go with it. To wrap things up for this parts list for this episode, I have here some Innovative 95A race bushings. Thank you to Innovative Support for helping me out with this application and pointing me in the right direction for this swap. These are rated for 500 horsepower. These bushings are much harder than the ones that I have already in the car, and these will handle the abuse that I'm going to throw at it. These won't be installed this video, but when I go ahead and actually do the K24 swap, I'll dive into this a little bit deeper, but these are super easy to install. Alrighty, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys are hyped to see this build smash 600 horsepower, hit that like button, share with your friends and grandma, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the madness. Huge thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.